Can you all hear me?
Ken.
Now I hear sound.
He said yeah.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Still can't hear you.
He just talked really loud. Could we still hear him? He's just right over there.
Mark up.
You might have to use sign language, but I don't think anybody has any questions for you right now anyway.
Sorry I'm late. I just got tons of stuff going on. If you haven't noticed, we're kind of thin on staff a little bit. I have a meeting at 9 o'clock, which is for the water treatment plant generator. If we can, after we do Sankey, if we can talk about Little Bridge.
Yep.
That give me an opportunity to answer the question.
Yep.
Would that be okay?
Perfect.
I apologize.
Oh, no problem. So what all did you have to say about Sankey?
Well, I talked to Joe yesterday. The last remaining lights have been shipped, so we should be receiving those within the week, if not this week, next week. I think we poured the pads, right, for the memorial benches, and so next is to install memorial benches. We've had some internal discussions also. I'll wait for Weddle Bridge, hang on. But I think other than planning the last little bit of concrete, we're going to have good weather for that. Kind of done other than that, other lights. Any other things? To do that other task. So
Can he talk just a little louder? I didn't hear you.
We've got 8 pads built. We've got a few more to do, and then on Breezy does the concrete front walkway. They'll also incorporate some more pads into that. So the benches are almost complete.
Awesome.
And Dominic, the last remaining 3 lights have been shipped as of yesterday. Okay. So I don't know when we'll receive this week or next week. And that's it, really, for the park. I mean, it's just looking good, and we're happy with it. And
Nice.
there may be some little things that we want to do after this. I think once we complete this, is you guys focus on the next phase of thing. Yep. Weddle Bridge. I reached out to Bob. I know you had concerns, and we talked about funding in our last meeting. And I've met with Chief Lynn. We've had issues on Weddle Bridge, and it's been going on for quite a few months. It seems like since school got back in, it's kind of picked up. We have permission to lock both sides of that, and I think we're going to go ahead and do that because we locked it at times, but then we locked the back gate. But I think with the damage that occurred to the gate, that was a couple weeks ago, the people that we believe that damaged that gate and was doing a lot of their graffiti, in front of our eyes, went and damaged wet concrete that we were standing there and we just finished it, and literally went up there and did some things and in front of her, and then taunted to us. And we weren't happy. We called PD. They were excluded from the park, although that car was in that park yesterday.
No.
They were on the bridge. So these are the types of things that we're dealing with. And Jeff's shorthanded. He's down 3 officers. That's not an excuse. But I think it's going to take more. We've got the camera systems. It is up, not up yet. We're close to getting it on. We had a system in there before, and somebody got up underneath it and tore all the electrical out, broke the bottom underneath the bridge, got into that house and stole the DVR out of it.
Gee.
So we have gone back in and beefed it up and made a box with a metal enclosure on it. And we bought a system, and so we're gonna put it back in. But we wanted to make sure, what's taken so long is we wanted to make sure that we could at least protect another system if we got it.
Mhm.
So we've done that. Sean's been actually doing that work. We're gonna put 2 on each end, one facing out, one facing in, and then the same on the other end. Before, we just had one going in, one on the front entrance. So we're gonna try to get both ends covered. The cameras will be better for night vision, but I think for the meantime, we need to lock it up. And just lock it up, and if people are on there, then they shouldn't be on there. And then it makes it easy. I'd rather see that happen right now during the winter than see more damage get occur. And we try to, as fast as we can cover it up, they're putting more on there. So just know that that's the battle that we're fighting. And this has been going on for 5 months, maybe, really bad. I mean, it's been going on off and on for years, since
Yeah.
I've been here, but it seems like it's picked up a lot lately.
Have you seen the same thing going on in the bathroom at all, or has it stayed pretty straight? I saw a little bit in there one day, but that was
A few times the bathroom got
not comparable to the bridge, right? Yeah.
I mean, that bridge, we finished this park, and it just makes that bridge come out.
Yeah.
So that's the second part of this is there's rotting boards, there's no funding source. So I want to get your guys' help to start. We need to start talking about this bridge as part of this park. This is one of the most important buildings in our community. We have no funding for it. And I've had people that have had family members that worked on that come up and talk to me. And, I live here now, and I think it's awesome. And I think we should be doing more about it. So, I need help. We need help. I don't know where to go from here other than, at budget time, ask specifically, and maybe that's something you guys can do, specific funding from, the council or public works or however we fund it, but we get it in that budget. I mean, I could put a line item in, but it's basically going to come out of parks, I think. And so there is an account for Weddell Bridge that people have been donating over the years, but it's not much in it, $5,000. So anyway, that's kind of what I have for that. I want to keep talking about the bridge. I want to keep it in the agenda, Angela, for a while until we kind of feel that we're heading in a direction where we need to go. But I think as a park and treat, that's one of our most important structures of all of our parks. So.
I know, Greg, I was looking at some more funding resources, and I was reading an article on the Oregon Cultural Heritage Trust that Oregon has, and it kind of seems like that bridge could fall into that category because it's like historical structures and items, so I'll dig a little deeper on that for you.
And maybe that's something that we're not. Maybe we do need to make it historical or something.
Well, it's registered. It's registered. Yeah. Like I said, it's registered. I feel pretty positive that we can raise some funding for that bridge. I mean, this community is a resource that gets behind efforts. And I did walk the bridge, and you and I had talked about the vandalism, and it was just, excuse me, it was disappointing to see the amount that was there this time, especially the gates. I was just, a magic marker is one thing, but pulling steel gates loose on it. And I thought, wow.
I would imagine what it took to bend that concrete.
I often thought, on the back side of the high school property there, whether a chain link fence on that property line at some point would slow some of that down, of the flow of happens to be in there. You could always open the chain link fence gates, to come across the bridge. But I'm thinking, maybe the school district and someone a combined effort to fence that area might be another avenue of slowing some flow through there from students. I don't know.
Another thing that Lynn said is that bridge is inviting to fit on. And if we put wood railing on the edge of that, it made it where it's not a sittable ledge. I mean, people would have to climb way up on those. Right now, you can hop on it.
Yeah.
And it's inviting for people to sit on the bridge. And that's where you're getting too much. You get people climbing on it, then they're sitting there getting bored and burning stuff and writing.
I hate to see us have to engineer out the responsibility of someone just walking through. I get your point.
I mean,
You know.
one of the things, that's like, how do we keep people to put signage and graffiti everything?
And Jeff, I talked to Jeff on Monday, and Jeff had talked about the increased presence of the police department through there, and I told him I appreciate that. I definitely have seen it when I've been there, but yeah.
Between, you know, what him and Sean are dealing with down at the old city hall, it's just, I know there's Kristen, and I know he's trying, and I know because when he calls me and says, come meet me on the bridge and we have a discussion, I know he's trying, and I know he cares. But he's also said there's times I can't be here.
Yeah. And I talked to him some about some of this information being put in our local newspaper so people understand visually what's going on with this and get some public awareness around this and maybe some public help a little bit with this. But I don't know if that's something that we are allowed to do. I don't know, Angela, is that something if we called the New Era and asked them to run a story on that bridge? And
I would say,
There you go.
I would say talk to.
Start
Lydia.
over.
I'll work with Lydia, she has.
Couldn't remember.
Work with her, and she can get a press release out and, you know, work with the newspapers and whatnot, so I would say contact her.
Okay.
And get, you know, something going with her, and she can get that out.
I'll do that because I think it's just important.
Rope Lygia in and we can start getting something going.
Okay.
Maybe get the paper come out, take some pictures and.
Yeah, some of them that have to blank out the pictures, but
Well, we can pick and choose, you know, maybe some grime or.
yeah.
Deborah's here now. Can you see me? Can you hear me? Hello?
They haven't been able to hear people in the room.
I see. But you know I'm there, Brandon?
Yes, I see.
Can they see me?
I'll let Angela know the text message.
Thank you.
I think it's a good thing, though, just to announce it, because I do know people use that just as a general transitory avenue from up there in those streets down to Safeway and McDonald's and the other street, just so they're aware of it.
Maybe that announcement spreads to the school district so they can get it to other staff and maybe so at least it's noted to some of the students there that pay attention, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, Ashley, when she was in high school, the teachers, they would go out there and sit on their breaks and stuff to watch kids. And so I know that if they're able, the high school is doing that.
And that might not be a bad idea to talk to the new superintendent and ask them for their help. Maybe they put the word through
That's a good idea.
the school district. So
Well, I don't want to be negative on this, but I've seen increase out of my store, not inside so much, but outside. And I know Herring Motors were, anyway, so something's going on in this community that it's never been before. And I don't know who it is or what's going on, but it's pretty discouraging. And then, you know, people can steal now and you get slapped on the hand. So it's kind of like they don't care.
I think it's
There's
sign
this
of times.
attitude of, I don't care. I'm going to do what I want to do. And, you know, I might get arrested, get out. So, I mean, like I said, I hate saying it that way, but that's kind of where a lot of these people are right now. And it's very, very, very sad. So we got to do something. I totally agree. Take shifts or something.
So we will contact Lygia, right? We're going to work with Lygia to get something out. And I'll be more than happy to be involved with that. But I think we'll go ahead and we'll get her to announce that we're going to keep things locked for a while. And you guys can go ahead and keep them locked and just monitor them. I don't know if we have signage that maybe we put some on there temporary. If it's already got something like that, then perfect. That's what it's intent for, that inform people that they can't be past those gates. So.
And then as part of the article, you know, give a little bit of history on the bridge and the way the community rallied to do the original restoration.
Yeah.
And then flip to the present, here's the damage, here's the issues, here's the consequence, we have to close this.
Let's take it further. Let's have the group with Legia. Let's set up a meeting with New Era and whoever, and let's get them to take some pictures and meet us out there.
Yeah.
And let's talk about it and write a little article.
Yeah, that would
I think
be a
that'd
good
be good.
idea.
It shows that we're all here, we're all present, and if it makes it happen, I would.
I'll talk to Lydia and we'll get something on the books. I can't have all of you, otherwise it'll be a public meeting.
Oh.
So just decide. Well, I mean, if you all want to, then we can make it a public meeting. I just have to notice it if it does, put it on the calendar. So just let me know who wants to be involved in that, and then I'll put it all together, Public Works and Lydia and a couple of you. And then,
You guys could select two, and then it makes it easy.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not
Do you
a lot.
want to go do that with Bob, or do you want me to go do it with Bob?
Right,
Why don't
I'm
you
good.
two go do that then?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've done a little research on the history, so
Okay.
you know more than I do.
Well, that gives us the opportunity to do it a little quicker. I think there's a need to get the bridge locked up right away and get that information out. And so if we could do that quicker, that would be great.
Send out an email.
And so just know, when I made the request to lock it up, I got a big sigh out of our city manager. And so for me too, because I don't want to keep it locked. So I don't see this as a long-term thing, but until we can get through the winter, get our arms around it, get the security system up, maybe we reevaluate it at that time.
And it could be that if a group wanted to use the bridge during the winter months, then they could contact the city
Yeah.
or whatever and
We can open it up for any event.
open it back up,
absolutely.
so.
Yeah, they have to anyway, and I'll work with Public Works to figure out how we do that, because usually it's on the weekend, and so we'll have to figure out how to unlock them and
Yeah.
lock it back up, so. But yes, if you want to reserve the bridge, you have to go through it anyway.
Exactly.
And so it wouldn't be that hard to control it.
So before the next meeting, or maybe you have this already, some kind of an idea of an initial cost repair to the bridge, and then what an annual.
I don't.
I'm
'Cause I
not
don't know
looking
how
for like,
bad- We first need to get it inspected too.
yeah,
Like, because it hasn't been inspected for a while, so there's maybe some adjustments. So we'll need to have a company come out and do some work. We can figure out what those costs are, but, so there's that initial cost, but I think we need to evaluate, and maybe I'm not the right guy, but we go through and look at the wood on it and see what needs to be replaced, and maybe that comes out of that inspection.
mm-hmm,
And maybe that's the next step. We get it inspected, we figure out what needs to be replaced. We can then assign a dollar amount or to whatever work needs to be done.
do you think that won't happen before the next meeting, or we need to apply the budget
I'm
numbers?
thinking like long-term as we roll into next budget year,
Right,
right? As we're developing our budget, we start, because there's nothing we're gonna do in the winter.
yeah,
But I think we start looking for the 22 or 22, 23 year.
okay,
Try to find a few $1,000s, start doing some inspections, get that list. And then maybe the following year, we start building towards full something.
okay.
That's kind of how I see it. Doesn't have to go like that, but
That's
that's
probably
in
a-
my own mind.
That's probably a much more realistic timeline than I ever come up with.
Well, there's a lot of stuff we could go for branch, right? I mean, there's just a
Yeah.
lot of things that take time. And
Sure.
so maybe not put a time frame on it, but let's shoot for a goal of, for some funds to at least start identifying and moving forward. Right?
Can I
Yeah.
interject here for a second?
Hey, you're here.
I am. Now you can hear me. So I did want to highlight that you all do have funding available in this current fiscal year to do stuff if Public Works was in a position to be able to start that process. If you identified the item, if you wanted to do that analysis and figure out what needed to be done, the work that needed to be completed, there's $5,000 available in the Weddell Bridge Fund, as Greg mentioned previously. But you've also got $14,500 in our 457 dedicated parks fund that wasn't particularly allocated with a specific purpose in mind. It gives us a little flexibility to be able to complete some things during the year that may pop up, including something like this. So there is money ready to go now if it was determined that we needed to do some work. And then we could certainly identify additional funds for actual remediation efforts in future fiscal years.
Then with that said, why don't we try to find somebody that can do an inspection and maybe start that list for us this year?
Yeah.
Well,
It
Bob-
won't cost us $5,000.
Bob,
Right.
since you've been in contact with some of the bridge people, why don't you see who they get to inspect?
Well, I know I gave Greg a name that the Lions covered bridge
And I have that
or
email,
state.
and I couldn't repeat it if you told me. But I do know that you.
It was a
said you-
construction company that they found, recommended really highly, that comes and inspects their bridge in Lion. I guess it was Lions, wasn't it?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
And they come in, gave them a line item as to what it took to fix it, and they actually hired this company.
It was something that
It was like a construction, I don't know if it was like Brothers or something like that, but it was a construction that they had went through to do their
I will
annual.
reach out to them. I will at least start that with an email, a phone call, and I can include you guys as well. And we can kind of go.
I mean, if you want to go even talk to these people that's in Lions and make a trip to, or invite them here, I'd be glad to sit in with you on that.
Let me reach out to them and let's see what they have and what to offer, and maybe it'd be that easy they come out here.
Yeah.
If not, we can meet them wherever.
Sounds great.
All right.
Okay.
With that, if there's nothing more, I'm going to exit and be late to my next meeting.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you, guys.
Hi, Greg.
Okay, let's move on to the Beautification Committee update.
I don't really have anything unless I know
Ashley?
they're,
You have anything?
I think, did they complete the cuttings? Did they complete the cuttings? Because I know they were going to leave them in the ground, the new plants that they planted this year, they're going to leave them in, but they were going to just cut them.
They did that last
Ashley,
week,
tell her
right?
what you did.
I
Tell them what
watched
you
you
did
guys
last
scooping
week.
them up.
Took them out.
Okay. I think that's kind of where they're at right now for the winter.
You want to tell them what stuff needs to be replaced they talked about?
I think the only thing, I talked to Susan Thompson, and they were wanting to find some items to place in the end of the planters themselves, like well, she said a wagon wheel, which Bob Dalton didn't have any wagon wheels in the inventory. But, something that kind of went with Sweet Home, but was a kind of a visual thing, not too big that it would take away from traffic and that. I know she was asking for some of those kind of items, maybe around logging or some other
That'd
items.
be cool. But I think Ashley did talk, I listened to what she says when after, about some of those roots from those trees are still in there. Right, Ashley? She's shy.
Are we
I'll
talking?
have her write down stuff for next
We
meeting.
talked about the one down by Les Schwab where they took those trees out, that planter. Yeah, I mean, you got, Public Works took them out. I don't know what they left the stumps in or, yeah.
Yeah, there's like 6 or 7.
Is that something you think they'll eventually try to get them cut or grind them out or?
We're gonna have to inject them.
Okay. Let's move on to the tree inventory update. Myself, for whatever it's worth, I had a really bad accident a little over a month ago, so I haven't done anything with it.
Sorry.
But my compadre, Lena, has been on it, so.
All right, it's been fun. The app can do a lot of things. I can print us a report. I've got all of the trees that are within basically the city's jurisdiction, you know, on the sidewalk, on Long Street inventory, which is really that downtown core. So I got to those before the leaves went off and I could identify them. And one of the things that I did, Dominic, was that I made notes on maintenance, if it was just like pruning or recommendations if I thought the tree probably was past its lifespan and needed to come out. So it gives us a starting point for the streetscape plan, looking at you know, where we want to go in the future. There's a few of the tree grates in the tree wells that are actually growing into some of the sugar maples next to those apartments by the fire department. So I made some notes, took some pictures of that. So there's a whole function in the app where you can indicate the maintenance needs and the health of the tree. And I'm trying to figure out how to print you guys a specific report rather than have you go in and try to search it. So it's pretty cool. There's a lot of functionality in the app. If, Wally, we actually do the diameter of the tree and an estimated height,
Okay,
we can actually get a lot of data such as the overall monetary benefit of the trees or stormwater benefit. So right now we have 96 trees in the inventory with an overall monetary benefit to the city of $2,377. We can do how much carbon we've sequestered, so 3,968 pounds, just by our standing inventory of trees.
sure.
So there's some really, heat prevention, air quality benefits. I mean, there's a lot of kind of neat material that we can do in there. The app also gives us like our top 10 species of trees that we've planted, the most common ones that are out there, kind of the top condition, you know, are the trees in good shape, excellent shape, fair, poor, are they dead? Damage observations, mechanical damage, location, the structure of the tree well itself. So there's actually kind of a lot of neat things that we can do to prepare reports for the city, for public works, just to give some overall information. There's a few things that didn't come out. I need to go back to the Department of Forestry and just ask about some of their tables, like the management need charts, which I couldn't get to print, which would help you guys. So it's been fun. And it was a rush to do it before the leaves came off because a lot of those are hardwoods. I'm working on memorial trees, and I sent you guys a note a while back. Did we take memorial tree plaques and store them away because they were getting vandalized?
Yeah, we took out some trees.
Okay,
I think we have one flag, maybe we can go back out.
okay.
But, the other two, I don't know, we just moved.
Yeah, in Sankey, yeah, I found those, and then the new trees, we just put the new
And
plaques
then
in.
there's one in the yard that, we put out, and we put by cedar tree, and one out.
If you know the name of that
The first one,
on that plaque, yeah. Send me a note or something, and then I can check it because I have a list that we did a while back of where everything was at, what the tree was, and I can get that updated for everybody. So, other than that, where do you want me to go next, Wally? Which part? Do you want me to do Clover?
No, how about Ashbrook?
You want me to do Ashbrook? Okay.
I think there's not a lot of trees in Ashbrook.
There's not. I do remember planting some out there, and I probably got some notes.
Yeah, that'll be another one that we can mark off as complete.
And then at some point, you know, when we kind of get everything pulled together, you know, we can take a deeper dive into existing maintenance of the trees, and down the road, you know, what do we want to do for a replacement? And again, I'm thinking back to the downtown core with the streetscape plan when that comes back.
Thank you guys for all your work.
Yeah, we'll get there. It's only as good as my batteries last on my phone, and I have cell reception, but it's okay.
So we're moving on it, and hopefully by summer,
Yep.
we have leaves back on everything, we can get it finished up. As I've went through this, just as I stated earlier, I started in Sankey, and it looks like I've heard a lot of people say, oh, we've taken out a lot of trees. Please go try inventorying them,
There's a lot of trees.
and you'll find out just how many trees are there. It's not ridiculous, but the number is very high. You know, it's a good number. There is a lot of trees. So there's a lot more to do with it. So I'll take care of that. Moving on to pocket parks. Again, I didn't do anything for the last couple months, but I do have a question, because I've been struggling with this, because I started to do an ad to do it for the one up on 10th, and it's the road, the crossroad,
10th and Elm,
10th and
Oh,
Elm, that's what I
Elm,
thought
yeah.
it was.
right there on the corner.
So I'm just curious, there's nothing there. Land the city owns, but is it actually a park? I know somebody did a park, but
Not right of way. Private property.
I was just curious. I couldn't find a reason for it other than we would put a bench there for somebody to sit down, which adds maintenance to the city. And
City's mowing it now.
well, no, I'm talking
Maintain.
taking the graffiti off of it, the damage that gets done to it at night.
I thought one time we talked about, because people like to walk, and some of these pocket parks in different places, we were going to make like a kiosk sign for this is the trail, travel this way, sit down in the park, sit on the bench, rest, keep going. So we said something about that a long time ago.
Okay.
Can I add a couple things here?
Sure.
Yeah.
So I couldn't hear what Dominic said, but the other consideration might be financial. Calling it a park and allowing it to be utilized and designated as a park allows the city to not, it allows the city to avoid the property taxes that would normally have to be paid on it otherwise.
Okay.
So if we are maintaining it in like a park, mowing and making sure that it stays accessible and such like that, then it provides a monetary benefit as well as a benefit to the community members around it.
It's kind of like just a green space, really.
It is a green space.
And on that one in particular, we put in 2 plum trees with the idea of maybe, if they would produce plums or be some fruit for folks. We took out the pear tree.
It was a pear tree right
It was
by
a
the
pear
sidewalk.
tree, yeah, but there's still 2 plum trees there. I should put those on the inventory.
Okay.
What about evergreen? Are we going to talk about that?
Well, that was my next thing. So I've got the 2 parks that I was working on, but have identified other parks that are not named. So the one, I don't see them named, the one up on Evergreen on the loop, is that considered a city park, the center island? Is that, so it's named? I mean, that's what we call it, and that makes a good sense.
Yeah.
That's the one that we talked about possibly have a Free City USA park.
Right,
Yep.
okay. But I don't think that has an official naming on it either, right? Because there's no signs there for it. Yeah, but I mean, I think we need to, that's another one that we need to name. And then the boat ramp, that park there, that's marked as a city park. There's a sign there that it's a city park.
Oh, by Pleasant Valley, you mean?
Down on
North side?
Oh, you mean
Pleasant
Pleasant Valley?
Valley.
Oh, Pleasant Valley.
Yeah.
I'm not talking the one on the left.
You're
as
talking
going
about
up.
to the
one
right
on
where you go
that
down
goes
to the
down to the
river.
boat ramp. That's even marked as a city park, but it's not named anything.
Yeah, but remember Greg talked to us about they might close that or something when they start the construction down by the.
Yeah, I'm
wash-
just bringing up, there's more than just these 2. So I
Right.
wanted to make sure that as we
Isn't-
continue through this, we don't miss things.
But isn't the one on the left,
That's
it's named?
Well, that's private, isn't it?
Oh, the one on the left
That's
is
White's.
the Whites?
The
Yeah.
whites.
Okay, because I was going to say, maybe we make an extension of that just right across the... Okay.
So with evergreen, if we're going to make that our Arbor Day Tree City
Mhm.
celebration, so I did send everybody, most everybody, yeah, I sent you all kind of some ideas of
Yeah.
hardwoods, fall color, something that doesn't get too big, doesn't need a lot of maintenance, so.
Yeah, just gonna put that on the agenda after the first of the year, and then we'll get to budget talks.
And then we can look at, okay.
Yeah.
Then we can look at
And-
procuring them. I can bring colored pictures too, or we can pop it on the screen. Were you all thinking, there's irrigation in Evergreen, right? Or not? Are you going to do irrigation? So if you do irrigation, then that gives us, rather than trying to get the trees planted in the winter while it's wet,
Mm-hmm.
gives us a little more time.
Right.
They're gonna be water.
We
We haven't really talked.
gotten that far yet.
I think going out there on site with kind of the tree varieties, knowing their size, their heights, their spread, we can kind of visualize it.
It'd be nice to know where the trees are going before we do irrigation.
Yeah, we can totally do that. What about, there's like this concrete pad thing on the north end, what is that about?
I think that's where the table
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I think the other thing too, on some of these small pieces of pocket park doesn't necessarily justify necessarily a bench being put there. I mean,
Right.
it could be some couple big boulders and some roses and trees or something in there that are easily maintained. Just, you know, it's a visual, more of a visual type pocket park than necessarily a sitting park. You know, easy to maintain, but
I have a hard time with it. I have 15 acres that are easy to maintain.
Yeah.
well, I
So
got.
when I add, every time I know somebody that adds stuff to my 15 acres of maintenance, it's like, yeah.
Right now, I don't even want to talk about it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to come by my house and get my pile, huh? No, I've been picking my own up, so.
Yeah, that was just that's
So-
why I brought it up, because I was really concerned about the bench. I had forgot about the trail idea, you know, linking them. So I'm actually going to take that with it and think about it, what it would look like as a trail. And I know a person that might run a lot that will help me
That's
look
good.
at these items, and then maybe they could make like a tentative route, and then I'll send that out before I do the naming, because I'd like to explain that in it, that, you know, was the thought process behind
Because we
making sure
talked
they're all
about the
linked.
12th and, oh, what's that street right here? Yeah, Nandina.
Yeah.
That's a little pocket park,
Yeah,
kind of making a route.
right.
You know, I talked to Blair about it a little bit, but we have a couple subdivisions that have
Right.
extension on, or some sort of a swale.
Yeah,
The airport at 43rd.
right.
And airport, that one gets thrown over, it's supposed to be a homeowner association. I have a feeling down the road, the city's gonna have to step in and clean that up, otherwise it's gonna
Yeah,
interfere with us anyways. And then the one on 27th Avenue.
And foothills,
but,
yeah,
um,
it's bad.
Which, for the most part, the developer does okay, at least, if there's an issue, she'll take care of things. But those are, I think, opportunities for the city to consider maybe, or, where they'll get more stuff done for people, but, we have an easy access to them.
right.
And it does serve a purpose, stormwater retention, cleaning. Maybe we look at trying to get some of those.
Okay.
Small part.
I'd love to see the city take the one over on 27th and Foothills. 'Cause we live there, and it's can get pretty bad. Well, a lot of it too is because there's some pretty rowdy kids in that neighborhood. Not Tyson, but that like to go in there and just destroy.
Okay, that's a pretty good job on pocket parks. Let's move on to the City Hall dog park.
Here. Yes.
Yeah,
I think right now they're, so Joe's been really busy, working on a couple of different, things, so part of that is he's gonna come up with a concept, and then we'll have to do, property line adjustments, to move some of our property. You know, that the playground equipment, I've been told by the, mayor that that's on hold because of shipping.
oh,
It costs more than the, equipment itself, if I remember correctly, but, so, right now, we can't get that in.
okay,
So that's kind of a whole little bit, but that, as far as I know, I don't know if you guys know anything different than that, but I probably be something that's taken up this next month.
Yeah. Okay,
That's all I know. I don't know.
okay. About the Upper Sankey Park concept.
I threw that in there just so we kind of keep that conversation going.
Yeah.
That once we get Lower Sankey Park done, we're going to need to start. And again, Bill will need to come up with a concept plan, so we need to decide, or you need to decide as a group, kind of with that survey that we did, those amenities, what exactly you want to see up there, so we know what to put on the site map, and they'll have to come up with a couple concepts for us. So that's something we should just keep talking about and keep in the back of our heads, so that when they get done with Lower Sankey Park, we can say, okay, let's move forward.
Okay.
So just to kind of keep that on it.
Okay. Yeah, and I do remember that the pump track was a big,
Yep.
was like the #1 idea that the people had, and keeping the BMX park there with it. So putting the two co-located, I think there's plenty of room for it. I don't see a problem with that. So will that be something else we would put in for a grant, maybe for 23? Work on it in 22 and,
So the benefit to the grant that we put in for Lower Sankey Park is that concept design is done. We were shovel ready, we were ready to go. So we need to get to that point before we put in a grant. Because we don't want to be putting in a grant and then not even be to that point. We have a certain amount of time. So we need to have all the design phase done. Probably concept is great, graphic designer, and you know, pretty much good. She does a fabulous job and makes us look really good. So probably go through that process again, and then as we get looking into that, then we'll look into that.
okay,
So I would say it's at least another year out before we can get to that grant phase. So.
yeah.
Says they were impressed. They went up to get the grant because they had all that work done.
Okay, new business, 2022 Tree City USA work plan.
So this is the work plan I have to come up with. I ran it through Public Works. I haven't gotten any comments back from Public Works yet, but this is something, if you take a review of this, this is something for the December meeting for budget. I just have to kind of go through, this is something I have to submit to them of what we're looking at for the coming year. If you see anything else that you think we need to add on here, this is just kind of the maintenance plan of what this is, what we do, and there's a lot of, pretty much it's a lot of what Public Works does. But we also have meetings here, there's a few things that we've had in the past that I add on here, so we need to make sure that whatever we have on here is something that we can accomplish. So if you guys will just do me a favor and review this, and then if you have any questions about it, bring it back to the December meeting.
Okay. Okay, moving on to Bandstand Concepts.
All right, the last meeting you asked me to bring you guys some concepts, so the ones that I've included in your packet are just ones that Blair, Joe, and I get these catalogs all the time. With a couple that I've gotten. So the ones that I copied are ones that the three of us like. And granted, these are not the ones that you have to do, these are just some ideas, some things that we were thinking about. So just to give you guys some ideas, but granted, if you guys see some design somewhere, and some of these are just designs, we could incorporate, more materials that fit our area in here, more timber. It's just, we're thinking, being open to both sides, both the hillside in case we ever do, put some seating up on the hillside. So that's just what these are. It's just a few things that we've gotten some catalogs for that kind of look at design. So,
Sure.
Whether you guys like these or not, or you find other ones that might be better, that's too long. And a way to start.
Bob sent one to me, and I'll forward it to you. It's a Redwood company out of California that I really liked.
Yeah.
So I have that.
I like the incorporation of the stone and the wood along with some of the steel, that's too
Oh.
modern right there.
Yeah,
Yeah, 2 and 3 looks too
Yeah,
modern
Too modern,
for our
but
setting.
that one's nice.
Which one?
But one,
I think stone,
Is this the one that we call?
yeah,
yeah, I think stone were,
Well, we
you know,
talked about
timber
using
frame, timber
some of the
beams.
lumber from the bridges, not the bridge, the.
tear a bridge down
Oh, no.
Keep thinking about the bridge,
Repurpose it.
from the bandstand, original.
Doesn't sound original.
there is wood in there, isn't
Yeah, it's got
Pretty bad, huh?
about just the way that's in my.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
so just looking at these, these are just some ideas, so if you guys find other ideas, just send them to us. It's just something to get started with, so we get to that point. That's actually
Sure.
work here.
So will we consider that part of Lower Sankey before we go to Upper, or that's just,
I think it's gonna be, because of the cost of it, it's gonna be probably a separate.
yeah,
we'll have to look
Budget
at it.
item.
okay,
So it'll be probably a phase 3. So
yep,
at some point, we'll.
yeah. Okay. So on to our handicap swing.
Okay, a gentleman in the community, gave me a call.
Here.
He would like to pay for the handicap swing to go in somewhere, which I think is great. We'll pay for the whole thing. The one, not really an issue, but for right now, the one, I guess difficulty is that you have to have a pad,
Picture.
so that they can get onto the swing and off of the swing. And right now, we don't have an area that has that, and so we would need to, I think, that's something that we would need to plan for. But
And
I wanted
can't
to
do it
make sure
now.
to have this in here. He's willing to pay for the swing itself, but we would have to figure out the site, an area large enough. I don't know how big an area it has to be. He just gave me the specs for the actual wheelchair platform. So that's something that we would have to look into, how big of an area they would need for, the wheelchair to maneuver to get on and off. Keep in our discussion, he called me quite a bit.
Okay.
Told him I would bring it up in our meeting. Discussion about it.
Do you have any concerns on it? I mean, just on the swing itself.
We'd have to find out specs.
And there may be other designs in that thing.
Oh, yeah, I was just curious if you, because every now and then I found out I'm not all knowing, so,
I do want to
Some-
put in a swing set at Sankey.
yeah,
Maybe we can look at trying to incorporate, or maybe they have like free swing unit, and one of them could be handicap
right.
accessible, and we could incorporate a path into it. I don't know. I know that there has to be certain paths that fall on, can't fall on.
Oh.
So I don't, I will have to look into it.
You'd give a break on that though, right? For the fall on if a guy's in a wheelchair,
Gonna say that looks like
Locked
it's
in.
tough to load that.
You still have to have the right,
same thing?
yeah, I don't know when it's pad, does it have to be rubber?
Okay,
Can it be concrete, asphalt, I don't know.
right. But if it's concrete or asphalt, we're not doing it anytime soon, right?
No, not necessarily, right? It just depends on where, and how much. I think swings are fairly cheap, you know, but
Yeah.
But you'd have to anchor that.
Something to keep it from
something,
moving.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean,
I could see 4 kids standing on that swing.
Yeah.
yeah, that was my only concern was who else is on it?
Yeah, like I said, this
Yeah.
particular one looks like you could get about 4 kids standing on this thing and take off
Well,
with
that's
it.
what happened to the new swing set, that boat thing, or whatever, the first weekend,
So,
a big group of people.
and there may be a different design this one looks like
This
a,
is just the one he
This is a challenge, this guy.
Yeah, this is just the one that you submitted to me as an idea.
Yeah.
And so I can tell them that we're gonna look into it and we're gonna research a little bit more, see how we can
Yep.
incorporate it and go from there and just let him know. So he just wants to make sure that we know that he wants to be a part of it.
It's
Okay.
awesome.
Yes.
So maybe I'll take that action item to go look at some of these, just out there. I get any, and try to,
Have you seen any in other cities?
I probably have, but I don't pay attention to them because I wasn't looking for it. But, I mean, not even in Disneyland. I don't recall seeing that, which you would think that would be the prime place that they would have them for people. But
Yeah.
I'll dig into it and see what I can put together as a, overall
And-
concept idea
and I'll
for
look at
size,
some. look for
pads,
some.
parks, what they use, and then see if there's any around to go look at. I can do that while sitting still. That's good. Okay. Any other business?
I just, it was in our last meeting, but just staff will look into funding or funding in the next fiscal year for new equipment at Ashbrook Park for the swings.
So that's where we'll look at the budget next month.
Okay.
And we'll look at the funds.
Okay. The kids miss the swings.
So what's next month's meeting date? Just
December.
make sure it's on my
okay,
calendar.
That'll be
18th or something.
Okay. Yeah, so that'll take a little bit. Make sure we have everybody on time for that one.
Yeah, and allocate enough time to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, and just, like I said, review the budget. Brandon will get me more the week before, so I'll send that out to you. That's on September. We got before the meeting, if you have any questions.
Okay. Deborah, you have anything extra? Nope.
Can't hear
Okay.
her. See that smile though.
The Tree City USA application that's due in December, do you need anything, Angela, for that?
No, I can file kind of public works with the public people, so they put it on their website. There's volunteer work, I have that each month, as soon as I get it, so I'm just waiting to put it on the file.
Okay.
The work plan's done. So, I think that's pretty much it. Document that we're doing monthly, given December timeframe.
Good.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
So, sorry, I need to ask a clarifying question because Angela doesn't like to use her mic, apparently.
Oh.
Apparently I need to turn it up, sorry.
But I just wanted to clarify what we were talking about as far as budget for the December meeting. Did she indicate that I was going to bring you a budget in December?
You would send me one that week before, like, you have to.
I can't hear her.
She said
She's-
you'd send her one the week before like you have been.
Okay, yeah, so I'll send you a budget status update. I just want to make sure that we're not actually physically talking about the budget for the next fiscal year because it won't be ready yet. That'll probably be at your meeting in January, maybe February before we start talking about that. So just to clarify.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Can you?
What was that?
Can you hear her now?
No.
Huh, weird.
That's good. She's not talking. So you-
Oh, then if I could hear, I'd be hearing things, and that's a problem.
But we do need to go over the budget in December, kind of what we're thinking
Plan.
anyway, because that's part of our mission statement for the Parks Committee is to do that in December, so we'll cover that then.
Do we need it to be a longer meeting?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we can get there. Any, just as a curiosity, any interesting updates from the guy who maintains our parks on a daily basis?
Leaves.
Nothing interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of leaves.
Yeah,
Oh,
I was just curious how that heavy rain last week, if that had any major effect on anything. I always think of north side because of that downward bank area, if it floods out or erodes the heck out of things. Nope. Okay. And I haven't been back to, because I'm fighting with my son, to north side to play tennis. Is it still, is that? Or I don't remember the tennis court, I'm assuming has a root that came up there that caused that giant bubble.
No, it's gotta be real.
Yeah. And is that something that can be cut, like that area cut out and replaced? Okay. So it may not be like dramatically expensive where you have to tear the whole thing out and put the whole thing back in. Because it's just that one spot that has that big lump in it. Yeah. Okay.
Seems like there's a couple.
Yeah. Well, there's one really bad one.
Yeah.
So it lets the ball run under the net too much.
yeah.
So
You don't want terrain on your tennis court?
yeah. Okay. If there's nothing else, let's conclude the meeting.
Good job.
Thank you very much. Everybody, happy Thanksgiving.
You
Yep.
too.
Thank you.
I was mountain biking with the kids on Mount Bachelor.